I'm the consumer. And the way you make a snowflake, just in case you're not familiar with that, I'm going to start the timer just to make sure that I show that it's possible in 3 minutes. I'm going for a square shape. Okay, so I just did the initial fold. And with this, not super important that you get it perfect, but I do care about quality. So, just at the first level of approximation, by me doing that, you can see that I've made an approximate circle shape, right? I don't need to unfold it when I'm working. That's a little bit of waste in my process. But now I can do interesting things. I can cut a triangle out of that. I can cut a square. I can do a partial unfold and cut another shape on the edge. And another one. I can do really beautiful, interesting things. Unfold it at the end, and I get a snowflake. Voila. Okay, that only took me a minute and a half to demonstrate that. So
you're not looking for 6-way symmetry, I take it.
He cares for quality.
6-way symmetry is not important. No.
Okay.
How would you define a snowflake? Is that a snowflake, or can we have other shapes too?
You can have almost any shape. I do expect it to have some symmetry that's more than bilateral symmetry. And I expect an overall rounded shape. But you know, I could easily have done something more intricate at this end, like that, and I get other things happening out at the edges. Okay, so we will have lots of paper. You were looking the way we measure. In the check phase, we're actually going to track our statistics up on the board. We're going to track what your inventory levels are, how many scissors you have, as well as any other metrics you feel like tracking.
What do you do with that metric and inventory and money? Like, how does it?
Oh, so I'm actually going to let you start out with $3. You will have a chance to approach me and attempt to sell the snowflake. And I will pay you if I like the snowflake.
So we are assuming that our acceptance criteria would be based on what we show and the feedback we get from you.
It's more like a deployment or a release. When I pay you for a snowflake, that's when you get your feedback as to whether it was something that's marketable.
Okay. And we buy things, then we pay it. For 2 papers we pay $1. But how do we get money back?
So
what is the value of one snowflake?
If you need the value of a snowflake is in the eye of the beholder. So
he pays us.
sometimes when I run this workshop, I have 3 or 4 people helping me, and so there can be a little variety in how they perceive the value, and so sometimes people learn, oh, my snowflakes sell better with that person than the other, but it's not an important detail.
Okay, I hear you. So based on the quality of the snowflake, you will pay. You will decide the money, the price tag for it.
The value of the snowflake is in the eye of the beholder, just like you. Some people like certain snowflakes and other people like others.
Absolutely, but that is how we make
No,
money.
that's paper. Oh, we have to buy paper.
Well, you have 5 sheets of paper. You have to use the paper I supplied.
But we can buy more.
And you can buy more if you want more scissors. If, whatever you find is a bottleneck to your creating value, you can solve that. You have the means to solve that. So we need at least these 3. If you feel like coming up with more metrics, that's fine. You can add that. And we'll just keep track of each sprint. So that's number 1. Any questions?
How about this? Then basically we'll kind of see what the reaction to that is, and then figure out what we'd like to do.
I agree.
Yeah, so I will take that as an action item for this sprint to actually do a sprint of fold and then hand it to you after you finish the large one. Does that make sense?
So we're gonna do a large snowflake and a small snowflake to see if he accepts small snowflakes, but we know we'll get money from the big ones. So they're-
Yeah.
You never know, maybe we might get more money from
Yeah. We like it.
So why not we go ahead with?
I think that way is north.
Yeah, I'm doing the lateral, right?
Yeah.
You want to cut it? Go ahead and cut into.
4 east west.
This thing I'm doing right.
Somebody doing it right now.
Somebody has to make sure that I'm not.
It's the only way to navigate Boston.
Or we wait.
Okay.
Unless you get a GPS system, I don't have to worry about it.
You've got 3 minutes to make your snowflakes.
3 minutes? Okay, we gotta do it.
Go.
John's not back yet.
Start? Okay.
Good luck with this.
Okay, that's fine. We start anyways.
You just make the one.
Rough here.
Save the scrap, that might be useful later.
Now losing things.
I did. I just keep folding it around this one bit.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah, and then you just cut.
You take it.
Yep, exactly.
Now what did you do after that?
You want to start playing
Yeah.
with the
Right? Got it?
What do you think?
Now, these little guys are really going to become little. That's interesting. We're losing a lot of paper from the little ones. Good point.
He likes circular.
No, we need not move it.
Hard to do. Yeah.
We need not move
You put one chair.
So how does it? There's a small one.
Okay, one, and then.
Here,
well,
yeah,
cut it that one.
give me that sheet of paper. Let me actually.
Can you change it into circular?
You should be able to do that.
Yeah.
He's saying that it's square, not circular.
So it needs to be curved.
Yes,
at the end.
yes.
So
Oh,
that's
no,
what-
no, just cut this off.
Yeah, not quite circles, but.
Can you make it circular?
Sure.
No, don't worry. Just cut that from
So pull that and then convert out.
Yeah, nice. Yep.
Actually, I can probably there.
It's square to me.
Kind of tool.
And I don't buy
This
square.
one?
But the
Alright.
This is also 50 cents. Okay. So should I give you both? It will be 50 cents. Yes. Other one, where is that? Okay, maybe we have improvised it. Maybe you might like that. We are trying to. What do you think about it? Come on.
Your life is just not complete without symmetry that's obvious.
So, I think from the
And
last
then do we
time
wait
the
until we
quality's
actually
gone down.
complete it and then show it to you, or do we show it to you right away?
Don't go in there.
Okay, so both of those for a dollar.
Thanks a lot. Okay. So we need to improvise, but we
And
are
right
trying
now,
to go ahead.
And right
Now, within some of the waste pieces, I can get.
Let me go back
No,
to
first
that.
we gotta be-
Circle and circle.
There's another one I could.
Smaller and bigger one. Does it matter to you? The way I do it?
I think we need
It's
to.
another work in progress.
Okay, so how many?
We'll attach the marker right here.
Put it on the chart.
Hey, we cannot do that now.
Yeah.
Someone else can do this.
So your metrics go right along there.
How many scissors we have? We have one scissor. Sheet of paper counts as paper, or anything else also counts as paper.
He did talk about.
It's the full sheets, right?
Inventory.
Yeah.
So we can see that we've dropped paper levels, so we definitely consume raw material. And I can see that there was a marginal profitability here for the Western table. They ended up with $1 more on hand than they started out with. This table didn't earn any money. So it is what it is, but that's the statistic I care about. You know, I'm paying you to make some money for me. $1.
You understand? Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So you create something like this time.
All right. So let's do a little reflection here. First, I see that the Eastern team. This is This is easy. Your cash on hand. Your cash. Okay, so your cash on hand has gone up to 6. At least you doubled my investment in this sprint. Okay, I'll give you another. He keeps asking me lots of questions, whereas this team over here is not doing the same thing, right?
Okay, guys, so one of us will actually share. I mean, maybe we can kidnap him.
Not just Jason, but.
Well, you'll get 3 minutes to plan. We get 3 minutes to plan again. Another thing is people are asking a little bit about process, like what is available to us. I definitely did set you up a little bit by saying we're going to do plan, do, check, act, right? But, you know, then I also said, somebody said, hey, will you come to our retrospective or will you come to our planning session? And they're like, I'm a customer, I don't care. I'll go buy from somebody out in China if my American teams don't deliver. So this time, all this process and things like that are really up to you. You can do what you need. What I care about is productivity and sales. So that time is yours. Somebody else was saying, hey, can you cut faster? How long is it going to take you to do this? I'm hearing people talking about estimation and things like that. Is that helping you out?
Estimation doesn't.
I mean, in our retrospectives, when we are looking at different ways, how we can have more snowflakes in the same amount of time, that is where we are talking about it, but we are not going deeper into it. It's like we are not trying to find, okay, 15 seconds or 20 seconds, that's how we are taking, but yes, we are trying to give a high level focus around it. But ultimately, our focus is on how many we can bring to the market.
Honestly, some feedback on the how long will it take. I think, particularly where we were limited to like a 3-minute sprint, the amount of time for coming up with the estimate, we could generate more snowflakes by then. I don't know if the utility of estimation on this micro scale is as useful as it would be, let's say, if you had a week to plan how many snowflakes we would generate.
Yep.
Or the other way around, right? So the fact that the estimation takes the same time as execution means the estimation isn't as exciting. Whereas if we're estimating and then had worked for a week, that might be interesting because it's that we're trying, you know, because like you said, that 3 minutes could have been used for snowflakes. So because it's exactly the same time. If we took 2 weeks to plan a 2-week sprint, we just spent a month that we could have had 2 sprints in.
So I have had executions of this workshop where people say, hey, can we double the length of this sprint? I said, you can do that, but have you ever heard that question back at work? Can we double the length of the sprint?
Yeah.
Does it produce or not?
No.
And I say, we're not here to make snowflakes. We're here to learn about making money, learn about Agile. So I try to hold to that 3-minute time box.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I mean, we are 2 different teams, right? 2 different companies or teams from the same company.
Teams from
And
the
you are-
same company. I am.
Right? Yeah. So you are not giving us a chance to collaborate at all. That's
I
like
didn't stop you.
right. But that is what I was looking for. Like in one of the before the next sprint, if we can share some of the experiences with each other, and maybe we can learn from each other a bit. I mean, obviously.
Competitors.
Well, that's right.
I never thought about it.
Nobody ever said this.
Maybe that is a wrong thing I
He
will
seems to have
imagine,
infinite
but it
amount
is
of
not
money.
like that.
Tyagi told him.
We're both.
No.
He
We
made a
would.
good point, he's not doing anything to stop us.
Yeah.
That is why I thought that I was sure that he will say that,
But it's
but I
not-
wanted to
it's not
listen from him first.
This is actually an economy, and there is a limit to the amount of money and paper, but the paper and the money kind of feed back. When there are more teams, like this stack of money becomes cash poor, and I get a lot more picky about the snowflakes. But, you know, like it's just, it does turn into interesting economics, but that's not what we're here about either. So,
At this point,
Maybe we should have a retrospective because they're making more money.
It's not about we making more money, it is about maybe something we are doing good or something we are doing good and we can really.
We didn't have a product owner.
we're at
Yeah, the customer, what he really wants.
Oh, yeah.
We haven't
Okay, and then-
really
and then-
considered, we only paid for
Putting the paper.
Maybe some things are visible, some things are not. You know, you never know what good things you are doing. That is only one aspect.
one last thing I wanted to talk a little bit about is the experiments about bigger and smaller pieces, or bigger and smaller snowflakes. Last paper. So I think that's working on waste or something like that. How's that panning out for you?
That again?
For less than $1.
That's okay. I mean, you know, it does not matter. I mean, you know, ultimately it's bringing some money. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously,
right.
we can optimize on what size would give us the optimum money, but it's not enough time we have for really going to that kind of optimization at the moment.
And the point is, you can use waste instead of
Right,
buying the
right.
waste.
Correct. Correct.
But I do
You can
think
turn your waste into money, it's always a good thing.
that is a metric we weren't doing, which I think is related to the one you suggested. But that we weren't tracking which snowflakes made which money, so when we review our planning, it would have been nice to say, it seemed like at the beginning, the four snowflakes per paper were 25 cents versus $1, which is equal for us, so that was fine. But he started going, he did give us an expensive one for something, and I don't remember. I didn't
Because he
get.
said
So-
this, you're gonna love it, it's worth
But-
$5,
Right,
and he
so-
said, I'll give you.
so
But I didn't
that's a
drop
great-
that, so I don't know how to pull that into my planning, because we didn't.
That's a great insight, and what I'm doing is I'm putting my favorite snowflakes up on the wall. Things that I don't
know you
like.
weren't putting them all on. Yeah.
Well, so far I'm putting my favorite. So as the game goes, I'm actually the ones that I'm not liking. I'm not even buying at the moment.
Right.
But as time goes on, you'll see that only my favorite stuff is on the wall, and as it pretty much goes from left to right.
Favorite to the least favorite?
Yeah, pretty much. I should fix it, but
Yeah.
maybe not.
Interesting. So that was part of we should do a little more market research and whatnot.
Yeah, when we do retrospective, we can really look how he is, putting the price tag on it. I guess there is one more thing. You are taking snowflakes for us, and then you should put a price tag on each one. And based on that, we should see, which one you are planning to
I'm the
sell.
customer.
You're the
I don't
customer, you
care.
should do stuff.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that.
Okay, okay.
Doesn't this make you?
My
Yeah,
mistake.
his job as a customer.
I thought that he's selling further. Then we need to see, what kind of sells more.
But that's our job.
I think we should
That's our
switch
job.
over
Yeah, we are the
to
shop.
paper
Okay,
for
so you get 3 minutes.
Okay.
And start
It's
to
for
sell.
planning or doing.
Is it, well, I'm just gonna give you your time boxes at 3 minutes and 3 minutes.
We are planning, right?
You don't have to wait.
are planning.
Right.
Either way, either way.
Right.
Oh, okay, your plan.
Okay.
You do what you need to do.
Somebody has to chase them. We are planning on chasing him.
Or chase plus whatever.
That's fair.
Not now. We can have not
What are we doing? Are we doing half season?
Well, the two,
Right, maybe make squares out of those and then snowflakes out of them, I don't know. There's no way.
Money for,
We got a marker colored one.
Close to squares.
rounder the better,
Alright, I'll do that.
and more.
It's more like round.
We can put a brand name.
If
A
it's
brand.
But,
Well, yeah, we'll put coach.
so as long as it's round.
Yeah.
and
Coach.
it's got like-
Oh, yeah.
Something comes directly from Apple, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's, okay, here's the deal.
I need to do the
They
job.
have to be round. They don't have to be round, but he likes intricate, so this is a little more.
So I'll give you
If you look at the ones up on the right side, you need more.
You don't like square jaws,
Yeah,
right?
you get a few more holes in it.
Okay, he does not like square
The
size.
other thing is,
He only got $1 for that.
it's intricate.
What does it
$1.
Creative, they all don't have to be the same style, so if you can do it, a couple holes or
I
something.
wasn't paying attention to the actual process of
Maybe you can make it more effective, anything.
Yeah, a couple more holes in it. Yeah.
You are ready.
Yeah, that's true. I'm a product of, I know he's gonna balance this one.
Okay, I will teach you more. Thank you. This will be interesting. Customer.
Oh, you saw those other tables as well.
I will have it.
Just because I've never seen one before. But in some ways, you don't see symmetry. This is not my minimum criteria.
Alright. Don't walk away.
It's not symmetric.
Okay, we'll get it.
Ah, that's right. I'll give you the odds of that.
Jill just sold one. I still think we need another pair of scissors. I feel like I'm sitting around doing nothing here. Which is
I'll let you clean up the edges this
We
evening. Fall out.
deliberately created that, just
I'll let you
to.
clean
So
it up.
the symmetry is what you like.
It's stuff that won't
More,
fall
but
out.
I can only give you the odds.
So, okay.
So that's 3 minutes, you have 3 minutes to build.
These 3 minutes are the-
No, he says.
You can. Absolutely, you can solve this by.
Yeah, I like it for ones that we can fix if you got a pair of scissors.
Try and soft
I'm
set.
not interested. You can keep it or whatever. Okay.
What's he not interested?
He was not in the same one. Okay, so that's another problem.
So we have that.
Okay. Yeah, it was duplicate, so he was.
Can we get smaller scissors? Alright, so can we take that one and?
Change, I hear your manufacturing process for a second. Fast. Let me see. I think the problem is the key will again.
So that last one they bought, no, that's way out. Yeah, we buy a paper from you.
Different. We were just want to make.
I like it, but it's so jagged. I can only get it with the
There are two. Thank you. No, please. We are here to please you. Guys, there were quality issues, but we solved it. This time you will $5 for sure.
Be the first on the block.
Customer.
Even we change for it. So it's not each group.
Or we get 2 or 3.
I'm following up.
He likes colored stuff.
You know what? You know, when you get color, you just need to put colors on the paper. I should not be emptying it, right?
Joe?
You have to be nice to your coworkers.
Customer.
This is how we end up. I got a small one for this.
No, not exactly
You know
like
what,
that.
that's done.
What $1? Okay, please.
How much time do we have left?
Thank you.
Simple,
No, I'm still empty-handed.
circle.
Yes. We're holding, jump in.
Exactly.
Okay.
We need to budget better, right?
Alright, so
This one, that's
please make sure that you've got your metrics up to date.
So we
If
have
you
to
just want to
differentiate completely different.
You got one paper, for the 50 cent one also.
Okay, we should probably buy one.
Are we still into the game or we stop?
So we're putting scissors down now. This is where I actually pose scissors down. And make sure your metrics are up to date. I can buy
Go
things.
against the blue marker.
Team, do you like this?
Well, we got a
It's
budget.
very good.
I
Yeah,
think,
with the
I
rest
think
of
it's very low.
much space.
So we've got cash on hand?
I'm like,
50 cents a second. You know, I told the other team they liked color letters. Maybe we should try
Okay, we
color.
just
What are we doing now? I mean, always.
So you're doing
You should really look at what he's doing.
and pending sales are closed and
How much
then
paper we got?
Okay, we have two.
We've got 1, 2, 3.
Is it?
Whole sheets of paper.
Oh, we got 3.
We're gonna finish that next spring.
Yeah.
We don't need any Lexus.
We only got $4.
Don't ship that one.
$4.
Let's have that. Have that.
Yeah, we got work in process. We got 1, 2, 3,
One because of sales, not
4.
I'm gonna try to turn this 50
Oh, sorry, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, I would say.
as well.
It includes the 50 centers that we can't sell yet, and
That's
rejects.
correct.
We got more rejects?
No, it's not a reject.
Yeah, I got one reject.
Reject.
We refused to get this because it has one reject.
Thought about fixing. No, reject. Okay.
Alright, so this time we got $4. So the East team,
Doubled our on-hand money.
so confused. This is east, right?
Yeah.
So I drew the arrows the wrong way? That's why I'm so confused.
You should track them in separate sheet of paper.
That would be why.
So it's east is this way,
Yeah.
and west is that way.
Or Europe instead of going to Somalia or something.
But is that a little bit of a spoiler? Because the point was figuring out to go to him as the customer. So we don't want to.
Yeah,
You don't want to.
It might not matter so much because you picked that up. I've only seen a few people say that even before we sit down and start working, and they were small business owners. Like I piloted this with my family, and then I go out and do this with dev teams, and the dev teams it took 3 iterations for them to figure out, go talk to the customer. But then when they hit it, and they never forget, right? And having that emotional response, it's rigged to get, that's why I'm worried about the spoiler, but it still worked with you knowing that. There's still a lot of room to make yourself into a learning organization and optimize that.
But it is that end-to-end process.
Yeah.
Not just, sometimes we get so caught up in our methodology, how we're doing things, but if we could make all the things we want in the world, if there's no customer in the end, it doesn't matter what we do, how well we do it.
Yeah.
But
It's that
it went a
process.
little beyond that. What I asked was about can we get feedback from you in the middle of the process?
Yeah.
One, I didn't know that meant we could all actually sell in the middle of the process. But second was, we still didn't quite complete the loop on that. We can get feedback from you, but I'm not, as we keep coming back to, I don't think we completely completed that loop. That's a good learning thing. Even though we came into it knowing we needed feedback, we still didn't learn how to do it completely.
Guys, I have a question here. How many of you guys follow Scrum or sprints or iterations? Right? If the question is you're going to talk to the customer, come back and change things midway during a sprint. Is that acceptable?
Yes. That is what we do all the time.
We are not doing. We are still making snowflakes, but suddenly you say hey, we are going to be making something different. How would they perceive it? So how is it practically?
That's a hang up you need to get over.
Think about it. You are working on a sprint of 10 days, mostly 2-week sprints, and you start with 5-7 stories, right? What you do, or plus 2-3 defects. Mostly that is what happens. What you do, in the first 2 days you are done with the defects. Somebody would make sure that they are done. Somebody would go to the product owner, get the feedback. In the meanwhile, you will get a couple of stories, getting into process. You will have something running, getting ready on your continuous integration server through that, and you will just show it to the product owner on the 5th day. The reality is if you show everything in the last 2 days, you will get only 25% of the things done. But if you collaborate more, you will at least get 70% done in the sprint. I have never seen teams getting 100% all the time, but yes, 70%, 80% is a very good benchmark if they are able to get final acceptance from the product owner at the end of the sprint. You can change it. You can change it. Otherwise, you will delay at least by 1 or 2 days. Whatever. You should be able to change things.
So there's also a skill for the team to in the snowflake example, right? If we go to another snowflake that is easily correctable or easily modifiable, then we can take that learning now. But then the more complicated ones, we take that learning and use it for the next sprint. So there's some learnings we use now, some we use for next, and then there's the strength of saying, so for when we're not selling directly to customer, we worry about scope creep, right? That's our job to figure out which things can we handle in this sprint, and which ones can we put into our plans.
I'm more thinking in terms of maturity. Once the team starts maturing and realizing that there's value in delivering software to the customer more frequently, then they would actually be open to change during mid-sprint. Right? You know that you're building something wrong, okay? Then it actually makes sense to kind of change something because you got feedback from the customer. But if they are so waterfallish, I think introducing this might actually kind of screw them up and we'll all be just chaos all over.
I want to say something on this. Depends on what you say as a change. Change is not something, it's like you're just completely removing the story, or you're just, a customer is saying on the 3rd day, okay, no, forget about these 5 stories. I'm coming with the 5 stories. But here you're changing about the story. When you're developing something, an interface or, a service, and you are just showcasing him how this is working, and if you want, he's coming up with a small change, that's not a change. That is something you are getting I mean, going in the right direction.
So I think we should take this offline.
Okay.
It's just that creative, you didn't hear Sunny because you were creating your own thing, or then you were doing the colors and the A and the whole thing. So that's why, I mean, we had simultaneous creativity going on, which was
Yes.
pretty cool. And in the end, we made money both ways, so it didn't really matter that you were doing your thing. It was still was okay, but that creativity, I know that was in your, it was in that synopsis, but I don't know if it said enough about that creative process.
The other thing I don't think any team did, just as a point, was when we got the feedback, neither one of the product owners grabbed a piece of paper, put it up, and said, here's the things we know, let's, so we can focus on those people.
But you did, we did say it needs to be made explicit and the information needs to go back to the teams. And I don't know if that happened. I know there were a couple of sprints after we said that needs to happen. Did it? It did better. Okay. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well, now we got the visuals. Yeah, that's what.
Yeah.
You could, while everybody's really busy, you could sort of sneak a different snowflake up there that's got six-way symmetry, and then all of a sudden you stop by and because from some other part of the world you found six-way symmetries and now you're on to that.
Yeah.
And it's going to take the teams a while scratching their heads to discover it's hanging there, and we won't know where it came from, and we'll say, oh, you know what I mean? We have to get clued in. That could be an interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like I could start making my own dream.
It happens in real markets, right? All of a sudden, the man just went nowhere, and you have to go figure out what happened. You know, that could be a good thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, talking about marketing, I think emphasizing the idea of a learning culture
Yeah.
in there is really good. Not just a learning culture, but a learning culture where the feedback loop goes all the way to the customer.
Yeah.
It's really, I think, the key things that capture what you're doing in this game.
Yes, the money piece of it does, he just said calculate. I mean, I think the fact that you're adding value, it's a true game.
It's a cash game.
Yeah, and that's
Making in the economics as well as the customer into the learning organization.
Yeah, what I really like about it is that it's not, like sometimes we try and come up with a game to shed to encourage people to become a learning organization. And what we reward things that are sort of artificial, whereas this was reward for learning from the customer directly.
Yes.
It really was, it didn't feel artificially that we just stuck monopoly money in the middle, right?
Yeah.
So it's not just that you're making a learning organization, it's that you're learning about stuff that your customer.
So actually, last year I put, we had a similar type of thing last year, we were keeping track, but I don't remember, I think it was from the creative customer standards, if you're gonna build something, and we had to figure out where to build it, we remember really where it had been, and feedback from the customer, tracking all the metrics and learning from that.
Well,
I really like this one, from the
Yeah.
standpoint,
Thank
realizing we have to talk about it.
It's really touching to have, you know, a community of game experts say, hey, this is worth keeping. So thank you.
One question I have, I mean, you can play this game with different kind of people, like students, like developers, like middle level managers, and CXOs. What you feel, I mean, one person to take care of when he's playing it with 3-4 different kind of people?
It doesn't change. It doesn't matter. And like the rules don't change. It's just the learning amongst the tables may go faster.
So what is the learning you had when you played this game with, with CXOs and versus other set of people? Is there any difference you see in terms of the outcome?
Yeah. There's definitely a different outcome. They learn quicker. They know some of the principles already, so they get to optimizing the teamwork, and they focus on slightly different things to get to a point where they're a profitable learning culture.
How if you're running with multiple customers, your role with multiple, you mentioned that sometimes you have helpers.
Yeah.
How does that affect it? It seems like it seems odd to be chasing one customer, and I think that could be one of those learnings about we might decide to chase this market while you guys chase a different market, and we still all be okay. I don't.
So some of the things that happen is that somebody will show a snowflake to me, it doesn't sell, and they'll run over and show it to the next person, and then it will sell. So then some of the learning gets a little bit more fuzzy, but on the other hand, like I tell these people, like I'm the official buyer, you have to ultimately satisfy me, and so they become proxies, and then the learning becomes more obtuse, and that's realistic. There's so many times when we have a proxy product owner is not good enough to know the real business, and when that's bad, when that training is bad, then the output is bad, right? So if you've got a really good proxy PO, then it can be okay. So that's a learning all by itself. It just adds another layer of complexity, but it's not out of touch with real life.